Yeah, we're talking NFL in late July. He's Doug Upstone. I'm Scott Spreitzer. We are DocSports.com, and we're looking at a couple of teams in the NFL this season as far as their wins totals are concerned. One in the NFC. I'm taking one in the AFC. And Doug Upstone, you're looking at the Rams. That wins total sitting at 10.5, a little bit of juice on the over. Of course, they are our defending Super Bowl champions, and they open up the season, which I can't wait for this game, a Thursday night against the Buffalo Bills. You see this team winning 11 or more, or do you have them falling down a little bit? What are your thoughts on the LA Rams?
Well, yeah, Scott. I mean, this is going to be, it's going to, whenever you have the situation with a team Super Bowl champs, it's always, what's going to happen? That's always the question. And do they have the motivation the following year? I mean, you climb the mountain. Do you want to, do you have the gumption to do it again? I'm not sure that's going to be the case, but you know what? I give this team all the credit in the world for last year because the franchise as a whole went all in from a financial standpoint, got every player that they needed, and they got the job done to win the Super Bowl. So congratulations to them. Now, repeating is a different deal, unless you're Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, on the same sideline at the same time. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I'll tell you what, I still like Sean McVay. This guy's still a very young coach. He's extremely driven. And one of the things I really like about his style, I'm not sure about his in-game management, especially in big games, but he has a really good read on his team. And so when he sees his team off a little bit, he seems to make the right adjustment and they respond. So I think that's a big plus. I think offensively, this team is still going to be very good. Matthew Stafford proved that he is a big-time quarterback who can win, okay, as opposed to always getting close. He does still up a number of passes during the course of a season where there could be interceptions. So maybe that'll go against him this upcoming year. Maybe it won't. Having Cooper Kupp, though, still is going to be a big plus. And because McVay's the coach, they're going to run the ball. Offensive line might not be quite as good without Whitfield at tackle. Nonetheless, it's still a quality line. They get the guy to fit in at left tackle or the right person at left tackle. I think they should be good. Defensively, you got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, okay, two great places to start for any defensive team, having those guys. They've also picked up Bobby Wagner as a play linebacker, and they brought back Troy Hill to play cornerback. So I think overall this team, there'll still be a strength. Yes, they'll give up yards. They did that last year. They were only 17th overall last year in yards allowed, but they didn't give up a ton of points. So, and looking at this team, their schedule is definitely going to be tougher. Having won the division, we know that's going to be the case. But they have a lot, not all the tough games are on the road. They have a number of them at home and in some rest situations where I think will be advantageous. And the key for me on this is that San Francisco and Seattle, who they'll play twice, have new quarterbacks going a different direction. I think they can take advantage of that. So, Scott, I'm going to go over the 10.5 with the Los Angeles Rams this upcoming season and for them to repeat as NFC West champions.
I can't disagree with anything that you just said. I totally agree on the Rams play. Don't know that they'll get back to the Super Bowl. They might, but I think they win the division, and I think they go over 10.5. I do have a play in the AFC. It's on the Indianapolis Colts, and that has been bet up a little bit. You can still find it a few spots, 9.5 minus $1.20 or so on the over. Most places now have them at 10 wins, but that's okay. 10 wins, if they only get to 10 wins, at least you get your money back. You're not losing off of that extra win. All right, they got Matt Ryan. Let's talk about the obvious right off the top. He's a certain and a definite upgrade over what they had behind center last year at quarterback. A lot of people were saying, well, Matt Ryan may not have been as good last year in Atlanta as he was 3 years ago. It's not the fact to me of age. I think the guy still got it if you watched him play. It's the fact that his team was rebuilding. He had nothing really to work with, and he still played well. Like a 20-12 touchdown to INT ratio, which I think gets better this year with this team. Going to have a better set of wide receivers than they had last year overall, as far as their depth is concerned. And they made a really sharp move in going out and acquiring Gilmore, the corner. He's an all-pro almost year in, year out. He was Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL just 3 years ago in 2019. So it's an upgrade there at corner, and they made a nice trade as far as other defensive backs were concerned. Looking back at last year, the schedule was tougher than it sets up before the season gets going this year. They won 9 games. 5 of their 8 losses were decided by a touchdown or less. They could have easily, with a couple of different plays, ended up winning 2 or 3 more games, winning 11 games on the season, maybe even 12 games last year without the kind of quarterback they're going to have playing for them this year. And so I think that's another thing you look at when you're looking at NFL schedules is the schedule as tough as it was last year. I don't judge by how teams did last year on their schedule. I judge how the sports books think those teams that they're going to play are going to do this year. And you do that by the projected wins totals. So the schedule's a little bit easier. And then I'm looking at this total again of 10. If you find Indianapolis and you judge them as a 10 wins team before the season gets underway, it means 13 of the 17 teams that they are playing, they've got a lower win total than just one of those teams, of those 17. They're dead even with the other 3 teams on the schedule. So you've got 13 games against teams in which they are projected to win more games. You've got 1 game against a team that's projected to win more than the Colts. And again, you've got 3 teams where they're both 10 win projections, the Colts and those opponents. That's kind of interesting to look at if you're into that perspective. I have them projected for 9 wins against home and away teams just out of the blocks, just by showing up almost and staying healthy. 9 wins. Then they've got 6 games left against Kansas City, Philadelphia, and the Chargers at home, and road games against Denver, Tennessee, and Minnesota. So 9 wins without including those 6 games. I think they can get 2 wins at least out of those 6 remaining games and end up with 11 wins. I need 1 win against that group to get to 10. So if you could play this over 9.5 and get 1 win out of that group of 6 that I just mentioned, and the other 9 wins come to fruition, you're over the 9.5, you're pushing at 10. 2 and 4 means you get to 11. So the Colts over the wins total for me. Doug Upstone is playing the Rams over their wins total. And we're going to be taking a look at a lot of NFL, obviously, coming up in the next month or so. But for now, those are the first 2 plays for Doug and myself. And don't forget, we are DocSports.com. Put them in the win column, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.